Are we live? Why, yes, we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Um, I guess I wanted to address the elephant in the room, kind of just saying where I've been at lately, since it's been about 2 months since I had done a stream. I'm just going to make this as a kind of a quick in and out. But that being said, I will not be the only one here, as I'll be bringing my guest on here. How you doing, man?
Hello. Hello. Doing all right.
Yeah, I know I kind of brought you on as a little bit short notice, but I figured since I didn't really have anything going on at the moment, I thought maybe I'd kind of do this and, thought I'd give you an offer to hop on stream if you wanted to.
And that's why I'm here. Happily.
Okay. So, now now that we got that out of the way, I'm I'm sure some people will probably be asking, where have I been since middle of February when we did our latest episode of Beagle Clan called Lovely Bull. Well, that being said, originally it used to start out with work shenanigans lately where I was in the process of switching jobs only for it to kind of backfire and having to go back is kind of mainly what has kept me preoccupied from that. Not only that, I just haven't really had as much, I don't want to say not as much like time on my hands necessarily. And no, for anybody who will be watching this afterwards, it's not really for lack of ideas necessarily, as we were supposed to do a Cards Against Non-Humanity episode, but I had to scrap it last minute just because of some IRL shit going on. Nothing bad necessarily yet, but with that being with that being said, it kind of but with that being said, I just been mainly focused on my IRL life going on. Yeah, just part of being an adult, almost 22, and well, not only that, but since it also kind of hit spring, I just kind of been taking some time to myself. Firelord, you got anything you would like to say?
Well, with everything that I heard about even with that, it is kind of well. I would refrain anything out of that situation what was going on. So I'm not gonna say anything out of that because what happens behind the scenes cannot be said.
Yeah, that is very much true. As I did say when I had to address the cast, kind of what was going on, how I did say everyone to stay silent until things get resolved, but I would, keep tabs to kind of say what was going on until then. So it would probably be hypocritical of me to tell everyone keep this quiet only to just blurt it all out on stream, pre-recorded or live.
Yes.
So, that being said, I do also want to kind of address some things with the channel going forward as to what I'm gonna wind up doing. For anybody who remembers, before doing Beagle Clan, I did say something about wanting to do some gaming streams on this channel, but that was mainly for popular demand. Well, those that did vote on it seemed kind of interested in it, and I do have a big catalog into what I'm gonna wind up doing. So my main two that I kind of want to get out of the way is the first two Diablo games, as well as possibly any of the old school Mortal Kombats, well, more specifically the 3D era. However, that being said, like, in regards to the Mortal Kombat ones, because I don't exactly have a capture card for any of the older systems or a way for one to essentially function with my whole setup, that is going to have to require me having a screen recording software in regards to, as well as an emulator, because there are going to be some other games that I do want to emulate that happen to come from the like early to late 2000s, kind of even early 2010s, like, because I do want to try to utilize Dolphin Emulator and kind of do a couple games from there as mainly like kind of like rare gems, so to speak. But that being said, since because actually now that I think about it, does the 3D era Mortal Kombat work on Dolphin Emulator? Do you know?
I think the only game that I can recall is Mortal Kombat Armageddon, for as far as I can remember. Although I could be wrong because there are several Mortal Kombat games that does in fact play with Dolphin Emulator, but don't quote me on that.
Well, because I know Dolphin works with both GameCube and Wii, so Armageddon would make sense because that was a launch title for the Wii, mainly because of how it was power-wise on par with the PS2. But as far as like Deception and Deadly Alliance's case, I know they came out on the GameCube, so those ones I think could probably be a bit iffy because the thing with that is, because I think with Deception's case, if I was to do some playthroughs on Deception, I guess since GameCube never did have a online capability with its games like PS2 and more notoriously the Xbox, they did have the 2 extra characters on there so as a trade-off and some other content that I probably might not recall, but so I think if I could just do all 3 3D era games on Dolphin Emulator, that probably would save a lot of time and energy now that I think about it.
Yes.
Now, that being said, however, I will not indicate when I'm going to actually do so, because if I were to say it now, then I would just be adding a lot more problems to not necessarily in terms of problems per se, but more so that it'll just kind of add some more unnecessary attention, and I don't want to make it like a disappointment to everyone. Also, by the way, we got M. Dirt Mason in the chat. What's up, man?
Mr. Dirt Mason, obviously.
Yeah. Well, he did say he wasn't going to make it, that he was at work, but still glad to see that you made it on, man. Hopefully you're having a good Friday.
Yes. Also, happy Friday to every single one of you motherfuckers in here.
Yep. Especially those who will be watching this afterwards, since that's where these get the most attention.
Yes. Now, obviously, I do actually want to add on to that, because you're not the only one who's thinking that way. Because you think that if you're gonna actually have to get at that, because if you actually do end up giving the indication, that might pile up a lot of problems, and that would you would underdeliver it, and that would end up having, how should I put this, false promises in some ways. I think it could actually fall under those. I think it could actually fall under those. Because you're not the only one who had this kind of thought process. Because even I was at one point thought I was going to make a walkthrough of one particular game. I was originally supposed to do it, but I ended up not doing it because that would I would underdeliver it, and I wouldn't be able to make a walkthrough of it. So I suppose what it really should have happened. You just decide whatever is coming through your mind, and whatever comes through your mind, you end up just recording it and get to it immediately. And that's a thing that a lot of people don't really think about that in general.
Well, see, that's the thing. Me being on YouTube under this channel and previous others over the years, YouTube was never really supposed to be a like not just a job, but it was never really meant to be like a profession necessarily. Like it never was supposed to be something like that serious. It was supposed to be something that was just, downtime, just kind of as a, what not really like whenever I'm in the mood for necessarily, but it was supposed to be like, just as a hobby, something to just have fun with, essentially.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who do treat YouTube like a profession, and some that have made it work. Like anyone who has made it work, definitely more power to them and all. But just over the years of seeing how that whole thing goes down, that's where I'm just kind of at the point where I have to think a little bit realistically, if that makes sense.
Realistically is actually the correct way to say that, even that. And I think that you have to approach it with realistic ways, because some people are going to tell you that you can make money this, you can make money. Did they even do that? But the problem is people do not have that kind of luxury to do so, and people do not understand the realistic approach. What some people prefer or have it, because you actually understand why you had to approach it with a realistic way, because nobody seems to understand it, because they don't have that kind of luxury to do so. And I feel that you may be onto something.
Well, it's not even just if they have the luxury necessarily, but I'd say with my case, I would probably, kind of think to myself, because before settling on Beagle Clan and others like Cards Against Humanity and whatever else I could do with the channel, I also had to kind of think to myself, and I still kind of do, always have to think to myself, what really could I add that no one else has done necessarily? Because let's be frank here, everyone's going to have some sort of similarities with another YouTuber necessarily. It's just, but the difference is more so in terms of execution. I, on the other hand, have always felt like I tried to go above and beyond, where it's what's something unique, what's something original to it. And well, the more that I think I do that, the more that, I guess I think I'm overdoing it, so to speak, is the thing. Because let's be frank here, I've wanted to do voice dubs. I did one for Shadow the Hedgehog, even though I think that one kind of sucked ass. But, it's everybody else has already done voice dubs. So it's what else am I really adding there? But when it came to streams like this on StreamYard, that's where I always felt I could do something different, because instead of doing rants like most of the ones that I've seen, some you already are familiar with, obviously I decided to go a bit more podcast route, talk about media or different topics, even if the last one we did was kind of just to catch on trends, experimentation, if that makes any sense. But
yes,
that's why I thought I always liked doing it, because now I finally had something that was more unique to my liking. At least that's what I thought.
Yes. But there's the other thing that I do need to mention. Even I have to address this as well. Well, not just for you to address it, but I also have to address it as well. There are some parts of it, even within the YouTube landscape, there are so much things you can't say so much crap about it, and even that is something that is going to be dangerous. something that a lot of the YouTubers have been experiencing that, and they can't even say anything that would be even be remotely considered bad.
Yeah, that is one thing to think about. However, it's probably because, well, I guess why it never bothered me so much was how I never really seemed to try to like catch the bigger, I don't want to say bigger picture, but like catch to all the bigger known aspects of YouTube. I kind of just, always did like something more niche and more like not only niche but also more like lesser known, like, because obviously all of this is just for passion, not for it's all for passion, not monetary.
That's true.
With that being said, however, since I did mention like what kind of games that I did wanted to cover, like obviously Diablo and Mortal Kombat were kind of the ones I wanted to like kind of skip, was ones I kind of wanted to, well, at least I've had those like set on my mind to do for a while. However, the others that could come along, and this is purely based on popular demand per se, but one of the games I kind of wanted to do and why I thought of using Dolphin Emulator, I'm not sure if anybody in the chat may know this, and I know this game is kind of used for like younger audiences, but since it was a childhood classic of mine and recently just got announced at Nintendo Direct for a for a remake called Epic Mickey, I was like, I'm somewhat considering on doing a let's play of it, like, but I don't know if I should just wait till the remake comes out and just try to do it on Switch, which could have to require me pulling out my camera to use 2 different devices and the quality could look poorly, or I could just do the original on Dolphin where, the picture quality would look fine, but the gameplay would probably suffer since that one uses more motion controls, whereas I would be playing it off of a keyboard and mouse since it's an emulator. Like, what would you think would be the best idea if you were in my shoes with that?
Even I don't know Even I don't know how would I be able to help you with that if I was in your, or should I do it if I was in your shoes? Just saying.
That is true, unfortunately.
Unfortunate, yes. And even then, I wouldn't. And even though I wouldn't be sure, I'm not sure what to do about that, because I'm not an expert in those areas. So what I should do, having to have a capture device.
Right. Because, I mean, I definitely do know a few, like, capture devices, like, for the modern-day consoles, like Series X and, Series S and PS5 that are obviously being sold in my local areas, of course. And, of course, I could just always go on Amazon for that shit, but, that's just... But I also like to do more quality control when it comes to what I decide to fully utilize, per se.
Yes.
But enough about the dilemmas, necessarily. One thing I can now confirm is, and this is something Firelord and I kind of discussed about previously, but for any of you who are viewers of the channel Blue Vice Man, you would have seen 2 videos that were released. One called Firelord Curson Freestyle, and the other one being Firelord Curson and the Boys, which were music covers for Rock Your Body and Apologize by One Republic. That being said, we had a conversation with the cast that with Blue Vice Man wanting to go into a different direction with his channel, he decided not to record them, which is totally his decision. I respect that and all. I decided to take up the mantle and continue the rest of the videos, but that is all going to be dependent on those who participate in them. So you will not be, so when they do launch, you will not be seeing them in actual streams like this. You will see them pre-recorded because we will be using teleprompters for them to work, especially with how the Apologize cover went. I'm pretty sure Firelord can testify that.
Yes.
So that being said, for those of you who like to hear people sing, or I guess hear people terribly sing that it's funny, then that may be something right up your alley. Hopefully it kind of gives you guys a bit of a break from the streams. That way this channel doesn't just become like just a streaming channel, if that makes more sense.
It does.
But here's the main twist. Here's the main twist with that. Instead of just doing them featuring one song per video, we will instead be releasing them like albums, where it's collective through each karaoke night. So therefore, if there's like let's say one album is like, say, a duet between you and I, that would get featured as like one slot. But then ones that are done separately, say if I do one separately, or say Firelord does one separately, those will basically be separate slots. That way it's just one big compilation instead of just a clusterfuck of a bunch of episodes. That way it doesn't come off as, well, spamming, if that hopefully that clarifies it for anyone watching. Anything you'd like to say on that subject, Firelord?
I believe that actually is true. I don't think it should be coming off as a spammy in many ways. That honestly, it would just clutter everything.
Right, because if we really did wanted to go the whole clutter route, then I pretty much would have been like, all right, one stream for every single freaking day, even if that's very unrealistic, given how what goes on in each other's lives that only we at the cast ourselves know, since we're all pretty transparent about what goes on, so to speak.
Yes. We'll have to be transparent about that.
Yep. It's just like one big umbrella, after all.
I didn't expect you would say that.
Well, that's how the phrase goes.
Actually, the better way for me, I really hate it to come off as a bit of a dick in some ways, and I shouldn't be doing that because it's your shame. You do what you want to do, but well, I gotta have to do it anyway for that. Get this.
God damn!
You just had to go there, didn't you?
I had to go there.
Well,
oh shit.
Well, you seem pretty adamant about having to go that far, especially after what happened. But then again, on streams, we've all gone way too far in few areas, especially with Cards Against Non-Humanity episode 1 with what you told Outer Heaven, and I had to say, dude, we're live!
I swear, I'll admit that was actually my fault.
Oh, no, it's good, man, it's good. Just at times that, like, I was in the background, like, being like, no, don't say it. And he said it.
Oh my. I mean, it was not really intentional for that, but for some reason, I think that was the warning that I should have. That was a warning that I should have actually. That was a warning I should have known. That you were trying to tell me for that. It's like we're having a bit of a telepathy in some ways. No offense.
None taken.
I mean, of course, I may take things too far, but nobody should take things out of context of what was actually said. If people are going to take things out of context, that they can fuck, they can screw right off. I don't give a fuck about them.
Well, that's the internet for you. They'll tend to do that a lot, especially since it's a whole world where you can't always believe everything you see or hear.
And that's true. Yeah, that's true, unfortunately. But anything else? Anything else? I don't think I have anything to add on to that after that.
Right, so that be right, so because there was something else I was gonna say. Like, we already updated what was going on, like what I've been up to, what I planned to do if it was up in the air, and how we were going to be doing more music videos. But another thing I guess I should bring up now that I remembered it, some of you who may have known this, who were watching this channel since 2021, like, yeah, that's when I launched this channel, 2021. Some of you probably may have remembered when I did an old stream called Sonic Reborn Announcement. I know I said something on a community tab where I said something about, like, you know, oh, this thing is still happening. Well, like, when I first got the community tab promotion, I basically said, like, oh, it's still happening. I just don't know if it'll be in part or one full. Well, the thing about that is, and I've kind of been quiet about this, I have decided to cancel the Sonic Reborn trilogy simply because I've come to a point where, like, when I was going to make this as my big debut for Spriting necessarily, like how I was when I originally made this channel, I was going to try being a Sprite channel just like the older channels, like 12 Games Champ 21, Kudu 17, Demetris, and like some of the more semi-relevant ones, like some of the ones that I enjoyed watching, like Anaka the Hedgehog, Devin the Firefox, or now Victrola TV. The thing about that is, doing pixelized work became a lot more tedious as I went along, and especially doing this in like a slideshow format of like taking an image from the internet as a background, commission the artist to do the pixel work, finding sheets, crediting them, put it all together. And I know I might be underselling it a bit, but hear me out. Basically, I found that just to be way too time-consuming and way too tedious and just somewhat downright boring, at least on my end. I pretty much felt like I had a lot more fun writing it and being the big brain behind it rather than actually being rather than like being the one like filming it outright. Because I think I've accepted that if I'm filming something, I do it more comedic, something more humorous. Like, it's supposed to be entertainment, and working on like a serious, I guess, serious film, so to speak, just made it sound like I was biting off way more than I can chew. So that being said, while it was a hard decision for me to make, I decided to pull the plug after 4 years of trying to make it happen, as well as bridges that I burned essentially doing so. So therefore, I had to put the final nail in the coffin.
Which is a shame, actually.
You must have been really excited for that film, didn't you?
Not necessarily, actually. Although I would say, Ed, that I had a premonition that something that it has to be a pull the plug, something that needs to be pulled the plug, and I can't say I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I think maybe I could probably have done something better, like after learning everything that I did the last 4 years doing so. Like if I could not to be like that guy who would say, "Oh, if I could go back in time, I would have done so and so," but just more so that the biggest takeaway from that is don't bite off more than you can chew. If you realize something is not working, then I don't want to be like that one to say just give up. But at the same time, though, try to start out small, then go from there. That would
Yes.
probably be my
Not-
best takeaway to give to you guys. Now you may speak.
Yes. Not to mention that you have to stop and assess the situation and assess what you were going to do next. And if you feel like something is wrong and you don't know that you're ever going to succeed, again, stop, assess it. Then if you feel like there's nothing, and if you feel like there's no way you're going to succeed, or even if you do end up succeeding, some things may potentially not go anywhere than what you would initially planned.
Right. Like, and I think that's a very good point. Stopping and assessing is probably a way better way to address it, because had I kept going on, burning myself out and probably making more people kind of realize, well, not realize, but like if I had kept dragging everyone else through the mud on it, chances are it probably would not have done as well as I had hoped. Maybe because I was just way too ambitious about it. And chances are I would have probably under-delivered. Therefore, whatever I would have supplied would not have met the demand I was hoping for.
Precisely. That's actually the truth of the matter.
Not only that, but at the same time, I had to kind of realize how everything was just sitting around me, and had to come to a realization like, I've been working on this thing since 4 years now. It has not come out yet. There are multiple sprite films out there, like Super Mario Bros. Z and millions of other like Sonic fan videos, like Nazo Unleashed, like that are not even sprite films, but like ambitious products itself. So at some point, it's not that I would have necessarily been a newbie or an underdog necessarily, But at the same time, though, it kind of just went back to what I said about like YouTube being a hobby, not a profession, is kind of the point where I realized I would have been draining myself, like trying to just pour everything to make it work, only to gain very little out of it. So that was the big reason why I decided to pull the plug.
True.
So yeah, that's kind of what's been happening with Sonic Reborn, and I'm sorry that I didn't, like, for those who followed in the server, well, now former server, since I just left it, now, like, obviously they got the word ahead of time, and how I was switching from storytelling to, well, live streaming. I basically kind of, well, I felt like I should have said something to the community earlier, but I failed to do so.
Hindsight 2020.
Part of me wanted to make a 2024 joke, but I don't think it would have. But I think I would have been missing the point.
That's why I said hindsight 2020.
Right. But that doesn't mean that I'm quitting from storytelling necessarily, as I do have 3 like types of like smaller movie scripts that I do plan on writing, but I'm going to save that for another stream when I feel the moment is right. And because because those ones I feel like would be not necessarily controversial, but would have probably been they would have been controversial, but I feel like I would have had to do an entire like sit down and kind of explain everything. And I feel like I would have to get like more people involved, because part of me kind of wants to do like voice. Since we were talking about voice dubbings, I kind of wanted to think, once I get those 3 done, maybe we can talk something over with the cast about doing voice dubs. But the third one in particular that I planned on doing might go wrong if it's not executed properly. But again, we'll save that for another time.
We'll save that for another time. Yes.
So yeah. That said, however, since and I'll address one more thing before we end the stream. And it does kind of relate to doing voice dubbings, but since we're no longer talking about just voice dubbing like fan projects. Last year, Firelord and I had done a movie night with a few others that would later become cast members, where we were voiceover, where we were watching the first Shrek movie, and I had an idea basically saying, how would this film have gone if it was made rated R? Like, basically, so in that sense, we kind of discussed about the possibility of doing a voice dub where we try to make the movie way more adult-like than it really is. However, the thing is, my channel is for all ages, but if we do this video, that means we will have to put a warning sign saying that the shit we say and the shit that we pull in this video is not suitable for anybody under the age of 18. So I'm going to leave this up to everybody who watches this video and comments. Do you want to see an adult dubbed Shrek film or voice dub. Comment below if you would like to see that become a reality, and we will assess that. And we will assess that soon. Like, we'll kind of make that as a question of the day for this stream. Once we assess that, we will go from there. With that being said, I think that is all I have to say on the matter. Is there anything else you would like to say, Firelord, before we shut this thing down?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add on that. Although I will have to put this on a record. No one should be asking what the hell went on the situation at hand, because that is a personal matter, and it will be refrained. Please refrain from asking such personal questions. What the hell is going on? When is this going to come? This when is this going? It will come when it comes. So please stop bothering and asking a bigger boy on things. He'll answer when he can. So, but if you actually ask too much of that, you probably are asking. You're probably asking for it.
Okay.
This is a warning. This is a warning to anybody who's being a bit of a nuisance.
And we will address that if it comes to that.
Yes. That's all I needed to say.
All right. Now, I feel like I have said everything that I needed to do. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to drop a like. Feel free to comment down below your answer to the question of the day. And if you want to see more, feel free to hit the subscribe button as well as click the bell icon. That way you are notified whenever we go live or whenever we upload. And that being said, you guys have a fantastic day, night, whatever time it is that you live in. And we will see you all next time. So with that being said, this is Beagle Boy signing out.
See you all, folks.